We are.
All right, Anna, we're live for our next episode, Road to ETH Miami. And today we have Anna from Centrifuge, and we have also Greg, one of ETH Miami contributor. Today, Anna, please tell us what we're going to be doing today, and looking forward for this presentation.
And today you're in for a ride. You will hear what Centrifuge is. You will hear insights of an RWA protocol, building an RWA protocol, as well as how to build an RWA app yourself, and learnings, insights from building Centrifuge, as well as seeing some first sneak peeks of the new app that we just built in the last 6 to 12 months. So it would be super nice to share this with you. And I'm ready, so we can start whenever you want.
All right. We are sharing your presentation, so go ahead.
Okay, cool. Can I do this? Yeah, perfect. So as I said, I'm a core contributor at Centrifuge. I work in the product team, and I am very happy to tell you a little bit more about my experience and also how it is to build an RWA Dapp, and also for the main audience to understand a little bit more what you need to take care of, and just also some learnings from my end. So first of all, Centrifuge is the #1 project for crypto forward credit funds to start transacting on chain. This is a real quote that I got from a report, and actually this used to be a GIF, but seems like it doesn't work anymore. But so Centrifuge, just a little bit of background, started back in 2018 in Berlin by our two co-founders, Lucas and Martin. And the first application they built was TinLake. And TinLake went live in 2020. And there were, in the beginning, there were 3 versions of TinLake. So TinLake is kind of like the first RWA Dapp that was built on Ethereum. And you can see already now, when I took the screenshot, we have over 200 million in TVL. And we all love some good facts. So I will also share some more facts afterwards. But this is already like a first sneak peek of the new app. We now call it only the Centrifuge app, or just Centrifuge, and we will retire the TinLake brand. But I will show you more about this in a few minutes. So first, let me introduce Centrifuge a bit more. Centrifuge is like the on-chain securitization protocol, and we have by now 207 million TVL. We have over 1,130 assets tokenized, which is insane if you think about it. And all the pools that are live on chain have financed over 383 million assets in value. And you can see I really like this chart because it kind of shows like where we started back in December in 2020, where we had the first real world asset tokenized by New Silver. And then we started the collaboration with Maker. We minted the first Centrifuge asset with them in March 21, and then the RWA market launched with Aave in December 21, and then also in October 22 we had the first credit fund on chain with Block Tower. So far we it went on a roller coaster ride, but I couldn't be happier where we are right now. And I wanted to share a little bit more also on like how does our product work, or how does real world asset tokenization works. So you can think of this of having like on the one side you have the borrower who has the pool on the Centrifuge app, and then on the other side you have the investors. And As an investor, I can invest into a liquidity pool, into a senior or a junior token. And then the borrower uses the Centrifuge securitization engine to tokenize their assets. So for example, we have I use the example of New Silver, which is a real borrower, borrower and issuer on our end, and they tokenize fix and flip loans in the US. So let's say they have a fix and flip loan that comes in, they tokenize this contract or this loan contract, and then they borrow against this collateral. And all of this securitization process is happening on Centrifuge. So we kind of build the on-chain infrastructure, and then as an investor, I can decide, okay, do I want to invest into a senior token of a pool or into a junior token of the pool? The junior token is riskier and is first loss, and the senior token is the more secure investment. Okay, I am going to show you a bit more on the technical part, because this is a technical talk and I love to explain like how this actually works and trying. Also, we have half an hour, so actually can go a bit deeper. First of all, the Centrifuge securitization engine is built on Substrate, but we accept liquidity via EVM chain. So you kind of can think of like the securitization part is happening on Substrate, and the liquidity part is in Ethereum. And so we have the Centrifuge chain, where you can see on this picture, with the different loans or assets. So loan 1, 2, and 3. And we have our private off-chain data layer, which we also call the pod. And for example, if I am an issuer or a borrower, I will upload my invoices or contracts or like kind of the verification of the real world assets to this pod, which would be then a document. And then based on these documents, we mint NFTs, which then are put onto the Centrifuge chain and then can be used as collateral to finance these real world assets. And the good thing is, because everything's on a chain, anyone can read this on-chain data. And also we're using the subquery, which is also like similar to the subgraph. So kind of it indexes the on-chain data, and we can kind of get some nice insights, like how many assets have been borrowed, for example, or what's the LTV or the average financing fee. But this is going a bit more into details right now. So let's go to the next slide. I wanted to show you today, as the first people who are not part of the Centrifuge DAO, a sneak peek of the new app. So this was like kind of my main project for the last 6 months, was really like to build this new UI UX of the Centrifuge app, and I'm really stoked to show you this today. But before, let's get this workshop started, because we also want to understand a bit more how to build a decentralized application that represents real world assets on a blockchain. And I just, as I said, I'm a product manager, I'm not a software developer, so I will just teach you a bit of the fundamentals, best practices, and also what I've learned, like working with Centrifuge for the last 2 years, what's kind of important to focus at, because the space is so young, and I feel like every few weeks there's a new RWA protocol popping up, but you really need to focus. Focus, I think, is the main point to actually find product market fit, because you can't solve it all. But let's get into building an RWA Dapp. Super important. First step is always planning. Like, plan what you want to build, how to design it. It doesn't have to be planned like completely in detail from A to Z, but to kind of have an overall roadmap in your head, like what do I want to achieve by when, how should it look like, what are the main functionalities of the app that I think it should solve. And also keep in mind, like, who are your customers you're facing, and do you want to work with what are the borrowers that you work with? Do you want to work with issuers? Do you want to work with where do you get the liquidity from? Like, there are so many facts and things to think about. But if you only focus on a technical part, it's like, okay, is this app do I also want to build a mobile version, or do I only want to build a desktop version? And what are the basic pages? And also maybe just to do some quick wireframing, which pages you want to build and also which functionalities. Then, since you need to develop this app as well, it's important to check, okay, which language do I want to use to build this app? So we started the first dApp, the first RWA Dapp called TinLake, which is based on Ethereum, but we realized over time that things are getting really expensive. So that's why we switched to build the core infrastructure on Substrate, but get the liquidity from the Ethereum ecosystem. This is really what you have to figure out yourself if you want to build maybe also on a layer 2 or on a on Ethereum mainnet or on ZK Sync or Scroll. There are so many new amazing chains out there, and you really have to find what works best for you. And of course, at some point you also have to deploy it and release it, similar to what we're going to do today. And yeah, always keep learning, address the issues you have. See also, I mean, the space is changing so quickly. If you think about it, you really need to stay on top of things. See, like, what kind of new features do people want? Do they want to have treasury bills on chain, or do they want to have invoices on chain? Like, you just need to have a really good knowledge of the market as well. Tools. First, of course, you need to build your own development kit. If you want to work, if you want to build an RWA Dapp based on Ethereum, you need to know how Solidity works. Solidity is like the most popular programming language for smart contract development. And of course, you always need to have a wallet integration that supports all kinds of wallets, for example, like MetaMask, Wallet Connect, like all kinds of EVM-based wallets, because without a wallet, you're not a blockchain Dapp. And very important, security. Make sure that you can't get hacked, that your app is safe, and get audit firms, maybe even have like a bug bounty fee or reward, bug bounty reward for on your website. I don't think you can click on these, but all of these repos are live on our Centrifuge GitHub, and I can highly recommend to have a look at this, because I can't explain you from the beginning to the end in these 30 minutes how to build a Dapp, but I highly recommend to look into this repos if you're really interested in doing this. The last one that I linked is the TinLake repository. This is how we built the first 3 versions of TinLake, and then also the private off-chain data layer, which is on Go, the Centrifuge chain repository where the current securitization engine is sitting, which is built in Rust. And then, as I said, we have like securitization is happening on Substrate, but liquidity comes in through Solidity. So that's what we call connectors, which is another repository. So you can just take a deep dive, have a look, and see maybe you can use some of the code and build your own Dapp. So that's why everything is open source, and please use it. Okay, but coming back to the Centrifuge. The Centrifuge Dapp. I just wanted to show again, like, where we're coming from. So because I talked a lot about what Centrifuge is and But just to keep in mind, we have the securitization engine, and then we have the liquidity pools. One is based on substrate, the other one is based on solidity. And this is kind of how we designed. I mean, over time, we came to the conclusion that this is like the best setup that we could choose. Okay. Deployment and maintenance. At some point, you also, after building the dapp, you also need to deploy the dapp, and also try to keep it maintained in like a decentralized way. And for example, one thing we do at Centrifuge is that if you want to onboard, we're not deciding like who are the issuers that onboard to the RWA Dapp. It's like it's a community-led process. So we have a very strong governance team that is doing like a lot of hard work to think about all these different processes. For example, we have the POP process where different issuers can come up and say like, hey, I would like to be added and open up a pool on Centrifuge. But also we have the protocol engineering group, which is introducing and showing the roadmap and also taking in feedback from users and feature requests. And so everything is public. It's been voted on. We have an on-chain governance and an off-chain governance mechanism. So yeah, there's one side is the technical development, but then also you really need to keep in mind the governance side of things. And then, of course, hosting, maintain the RWA Dapp, and also I think what's the hardest part is also the legal offering structure, because then you need to make sure that everything on chain works, that the smart contract works, that everything on the that it's secure, that the chain doesn't stop running, but then at the same time also because you are touching real world assets, so you're touching kind of the world on chain, but also off chain. So in combining on chain and off chain world is really through the legal structure, where you need to have kind of solid, just a solid system to make sure that these assets that are tokenized are also there in the real world, but also then on chain. And then also, let's say if there's a default, so there's like some kind of process where you can guide the issuer to then take legal action. But of course, as a protocol, you're always the infrastructure layer and you're really just providing the infrastructure. So let's say, I mean, Centrifuge never is involved in any kind of transaction. It just provides the infrastructure for these transactions. The connection is between the issuer and the investor. I wanted to, as part of this presentation today, I'm happy to announce that we launched our new version of the Centrifuge app. So you are one of the first people now to see this. And if you want to go, just check it out. Go to app.centrifuge.io, talk about it, maybe tweet about it, because this is it's a really big thing. And the big release will come on Monday. But I thought it's always nice to launch this in within event. And for some reason, this ETH Miami event came in. And also now I talked a lot about what Centrifuge is and how you can build an RWA Dapp. But I would like to show you also how we built our app, and also a bit more from the UI side and UX side. So I created a video which I can't show right now, but maybe I can show you the app on my screen. Let's do some freestyle. Cool. So one part, which I'm really happy about, and let me check if I can share my screen. Yes. Perfect. Okay. Nice. There we go. I hope everyone in the room can see this now. But I'll just assume and continue. Okay, this is the new app. Hello, can you see it?
You see the Centrifuge security engine screen?
Centrifuge security engine.
Here, this one.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, perfect. Maybe we can switch back to the slides once I'm done showing the live app. Do you think this is possible?
So we
Yeah.
can switch either. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, let's go back to the app for now, and then we switch back to the presentation. Great, thank you. Okay, let's continue. This is the new Centrifuge app that we built. This is the new UI. You have the same overview of the different pools. So you see the same pools as in Tin Lake, just in this new user interface. And also, we're currently trying to build the app focused on a multi-chain infrastructure. So one feature that I'm really proud of is actually the wallet selector. So right now we only have 2 networks, but in the future we maybe have even like 5 different networks that you can connect to. And then you see the different wallet options. And I think it's a really sleek and a nice design. So let me connect with MetaMask, and then you can see our total TVL, the different pools that we have right now. And this is like the real estate flicks and flip loans that I was talking about earlier. So you have a full overview of the different tranche tokens. So you have the senior tranche and the junior tranche. And as I said before, junior tranche is the more risk adverse. So if there's a default in the pool, then the first the money will be taken from the junior tranche, and so the senior tranche investors are usually more protected. Then you can, let's say, if I want to invest into the top tranche as an investor, so right now I only have 32 DAI, and also the minimum amount is 5,000 DAI, but everything happens just on the right side. And you also have an overview of the different assets, and as well as the order overview. So you can see, like, okay, how many investments were there and how many redemptions. And if let me show you this, maybe here it's, yeah. So for example, here we have, or maybe I show you another pool. Consul freight is nice. Yeah. So consul freight is also one of our first issuers that we've been working with, and they do freight shipping. And so here, this is like kind of the UI of the securitization engine. You can see how many assets are currently being financed. Usually the average maturity is like 3.9 months. So that means from the moment they finance this asset, the moment they pay it back, it's like 3.9 months. The average financing fee is 9%. And then usually on average, they borrow 127,000 DAI. And yeah, then you can see like the different status, and also in this new app, and then also with the Centrifuge securitization engine, so pools that are launched on Centrifuge chain, you can have up to 8,000 loans in one pool, which is a crazy amount. And then here's just some more details, like when it was finally paid back, the different pricing, and then who created this NFT, meaning like who tokenized this real world asset. Here's a sneak peek to our governance section as well. And then you also have an overview of like the different tokens that are available. You can see the different like senior and junior tokens. And also we completely rebuilt the onboarding flow. So you can now onboard as an individual investor, or also as an entity investor. By just clicking, then you start the global onboarding flow. You click that you agree to the data sharing agreement. You sign the transaction with your MetaMask wallet, and then you can start onboarding. depending on which flow you choose, if you go for an individual or entity, if you're a US investor, you need to be an accredited investor as an individual. Non-US investor, you don't need to be. And then kind of this whole flow is powered by Shafty Pro, our new KYC provider. And you enter all the details. And then if you click next, you then upload your ID as well as your proof of address, live face verification. You upload your text information, and that's it. And then you can onboard to a pool. So after you went through the whole KYC verification, you then sign a subscription agreement with the pool. And after the issuer then accepted you as an investor, you are good to go. And then you can invest. The thing is, in DeFi, normally KYC is always like a hot topic. Like people don't want to do a KYC. So, but this is also like an important feature for an RWA Dapp, so that you can actually, because the issuer needs to know like who invests into their pool. Okay, here's just another overview of like what tranching is, and I already said this like a few times during this call, but investors want like different kinds of risk exposure. So here we have like a different tranche structure that we have. You can see like, okay, senior investors are the safest investors, and then there's even like a mezzanine tranche, or could be a mezzanine tranche in between, and then a junior tranche. And then also what's special about Centrifuge is that we have like revolving pools. So investors add money to the pool, and then issuers tokenize these assets. And it's not like a closed deal. So let's say only for like 6 months this money is available. It's like they finance asset and then they repay these assets, and this is like on a constantly revolving basis. So that is for the business or the issuer, on the other hand, like super useful, because they can always they know, okay, I have, let's say, 500K for a few months that they can always like reuse and to refinance some of their businesses. But of course, when an investor wants to withdraw, then this money is also can be immediately withdrawn from the pool. This I showed you this on the site before. Onboarding flow, I also showed you in the live app. And now I just wanted to highlight like some of the potential challenges that you could come across when building an RWA Dapp. As I said, we're still early. This is a really young space, and things can break really fast. And also there can be a lot of new developments. Also in terms of regulation, just be aware things and always stay on top. If you build an app on Ethereum, we also work with the subgraph a lot, and what we realized is that we have had a lot of like syncing issues or outages. So because in this RWA Dapp you need to store a large and extensive transaction history. We had some troubles with subgraph, but now we also use the subquery. So always this is just one of the learnings that we had. Security, protect your Dapp, try to prevent a 100 million protocol hack. And I think one thing of what we have to do as one of the pioneers in this space is definitely try to onboard non-crypto users. Like try to make a nice UI flow, nice UX flow, and try to make the on-ramp and off-ramp and interacting with wallets as as easy as possible. So this is it. We're at 29 minutes. So thank you very much for listening. And now I think if you want, we can still ask some questions, or how do we want to proceed?
Okay, and thanks a lot for the presentation. So I guess we have a couple of questions here, right? And we have like 2 or 3, and whoever wants to raise the hand, come up with the mic and you can answer the question.
Hi, great presentation, thank you. I had 2 questions. One about the legal structure, and 2 about the NFTs. When you're creating the legal structure, how are you establishing value? Is it basically creating the coin and establishing a value as a Uniswap or something like that, and then the legal structure dictates that the coin is where the value is. And then two, are you always using NFTs, or are there also ERC20s, or what exact token structure do you have set up?
Okay, we need to split these two questions now because it's very hard for me to understand you. So can you repeat the first question again, and then I'm trying to answer it, and I'll take notes.
First question.
So for the legal structure, when you're establishing value for a token, are you basically minting the token and then going to something like Uniswap and establishing value where the token goes from valueless to having a value of 0.00001 or whatever? And then in terms of the actual legal entity, an Inc. and LLC, at least in the United States, are you then basically just dictating that, okay, now the value is established on chain, or exactly how does that aspect of it work? And I'll come back to the next one. Did you hear me okay that time?
Yeah, now I can. So for the legal structure, the tokens, as you said, like as you saw, the senior and the junior token, they are non-tradable. So right now they're only existing in the Centrifuge app. You can't trade them on Uniswap right now, anything. So the thing is, how the value is created is through we call it the NAV, the net asset valuation method. So depending how good the pool performs, also the token price will increase. So let's say if they always, so the drop token always has like a stable yield of 4%, and then the drop or the senior token and the junior token, the valuation is based on, okay, when was the repayment, and on also, so it's based on a discounted cash flow model valuation. So there are like lots of different valuation features playing a role here. And then let's say you as an investor, you come in when the token is like 1.01. And then when you leave the pool, let's say the token is like 1.08. And this is how the interest is then getting paid to the investor. And then for the second question, the legal entity of the issuers, they usually set up a separate SPV for that, in order to open up a pool and tokenize assets. And that SPV can be based in wherever they want.
Okay. All right, and then just the other question was, when I looked into designing something briefly, this is, you guys are 1,000 years ahead of what I was looking at. I was looking at using ERC20s, but it looked like in your presentation, you guys are using NFTs. Is it all NFTs, or is it a hybrid, or what?
So you can think about it like every asset that was tokenized is an NFT. And the ERC20 tokens right now for the pools on Ethereum are the junior and the senior token. Yeah, so.
Because basically the way I was looking at designing something was then the token would be equivalent to just value a share, but it sounds like you're using an NFT, then that's representative of the actual asset.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
All right. Anyone else have any questions?
Hello, thank you for the presentation. Are the loans backed by collateral or solely the cash flow of the borrower?
Can you repeat that again, please?
Yeah, the loans on the platform, are they backed by collateral in the real world, or is it just the cash flow of the borrower?
Loans on the platform, they are backed by the tokenized assets, which are then the NFTs. So they are backed by the collateral, which in that case, I mean, depending which pool you look at and what are the different assets that they're tokenizing, it really depends then on the different issuers and their business models.
So sorry, is the issuer posting some kind of collateral to back the loan?
Yeah, so the issuer, when they're doing the whole tokenization process, they say, okay, we have, let's say, cargo and freight forwarding invoices. And then they say, okay, we have an invoice of 200K that will be paid in 4 months. So we tokenize this invoice, and then this invoice kind of backs the loan and the financing. And then after 4 months, they pay it back. And then in the beginning, they also need to, like when they open up a pool, they also need to add a significant amount to the junior tranche. So also one of the requirements is that, let's say for the freight forwarding invoices, like 15% is 15% of the pool value comes from the issuer themselves. So kind of they also have a stake in the pool. And you can see that there are, like if there's also a default in the pool, then it will be taken from their side first instead of from external investors who invest into the senior tranche, for example.
Thank you. So as a lender, will there be information for me to do any due diligence on this borrower to understand like how good invoices are?
Yeah, so as a lender, you always have to sign the subscription agreement, and in the subscription agreement, you sign for the specific token that you onboard, as well as you have an executive summary of that specific issuer, where everything is explained in detail, what kind of the participating counterparties, what's goods they're financing, the summary of terms, as well as a pool description. So we're trying to incentivize also those lenders to really take a look and read through these documents, because in the end it is a real world asset application and not just some token on Uniswap, for example, that you can just invest and then sell. So yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hey guys, I'm Chris from Brooklyn. Super excited about Centrifuge, probably gonna do a pop. I guess I had a couple questions. One of the questions is, do you guys support non-US investors? And then the other question is more kind of generally about how the tokenization process works, or if you have a recommended workflow for tokenizing assets. So I do this thing called hard money loans, which is essentially real estate bridge loans. Oh, I do hard money loans, which is essentially
Real estate bridge loans.
Bridge loans, 6 to 12 months, and yeah, curious what that might look like. That piece, the piece of tokenizing the lien, looks like.
Yeah.
But yeah, the outside investors is actually maybe a more important question.
So yes, we support non-US investors. That's the first question. And then for the second question, the tokenization process, this was kind of what is described in the beginning of the presentation, where as an issuer, let's say you are a real estate, you have your real estate bridge loans, and you upload kind of these loans as a document to the private off-chain data layer. And then based on these documents that you upload, you mint the NFTs that are linked to these documents. And then also in this private off-chain data layer, you kind of have like public loan information that is like accessible for everyone, but you also have like private loan information that's only accessible for maybe, let's say, your investors or people that you want to share this. You can kind of think of this also like a data room. And
that's super great. I guess, do you guys have this? Like, is this your system, or do I have to build this myself?
this is our system. Yeah, this is what we've been building for the last 5 years. So, and this is how it all started, kind of. You could see this as the USP of Centrifuge in that sense.
Cool. Okay, I guess I'd love to get more docs, so maybe I'll ping you or something on how to do that.
Yeah, please ping me on Twitter or yeah, maybe I can show you again. Send me a message and then I can also send you some more information to the docs and how we do it.
And the non-US investors, because I noticed that the onboarding process via the securitized support non-US investors.
We don't work with Securitize. In the new app, we work with Shafty Pro, and as a non-US investor, so similar to what I showed in the live demo, that you onboard as an investor, you click on verify identity, and then as a non-US investor, you just enter all the data. You upload your ID, you upload your proof of address, and then you do a face verification. You upload your text documents like the W8 or W9, W8 Ben, and then and I mean, the verification takes for individuals like 5 to 7 minutes. It's super fast, so you should definitely try it out, or even for US investors, but only if you're accredited then.
Yeah, that's cool, because I think securitized was a long process, like maybe a couple of days.
We used to work with Securitize on Tin Lake, so on the old app, but we decided to switch KYC provider and also to build our own onboarding process because it just served our needs best.
Super cool. All right, thanks for the invitation.
Welcome.
We have time for one more question if anybody wants. All right. Anna, I think that's the time. Next session.
Okay.
Thanks a lot for your time, for your presentation, and looking forward for many more in the future.
Yeah, check it out. Thanks for listening and thanks for all the good questions. Super fun.
All right, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Bye, everyone.